Hello, my name is Bayir Shagdaron, and I'm professor of piano at Appalachian State University, Hayes School of Music. Also, I'm very pleased to teach for Canon Music Camp, and I have been teaching for this camp already for 20 years. I would like to touch base with very few basic principle, things what we have to apply into piano, and I find them very, very important, as to get very nice skills, and artistry. And I try to convey them to my students and always uh, think of them, how we do apply them into keyboard. First of all, and first of my question is always when I see newcomers, I ask them what is the art, what art is for us. And many students, they say this is music, piano music, how we play piano. Of course, this is just general question, and beautiful answers, of course. We try to play beautiful music. But being musicians and being artists, we have to know also what is our subject, what is the subject, what we try to find out while we play piano. Unlike people who are digging for oil, we don't dig oil, we don't assemble cars, we don't, chop the wood in the forest. But I always ask, what is our art? What is our subject? And I always say that art is art of expression, and also the way how we convey our expression, how deliver our expression, it's energy. Because like in acting, we have to deliver our message, saying like I love you many times in louder and louder, sometimes not making any sense. So we would like to find where is the art of saying I love you with good passion, beautiful passion and deep passion. And I find this is all about energy, how we want to get, the straighting our energy in our body. And there is always, like behind, I always say that behind every beautiful sound or beautiful phrase, there is always physical impact. And just playing louder doesn't bring us that kind of, beauty. And this is big question always, how we pull out of keyboard our expressive playing. How do we apply this energy? And I always say that we distribute our energy, our strength over keyboard to create phrase. Because this is our art, and we have to know, how to apply and create beautiful playing. Like bad actors, like they sometimes, don't know. They say, okay, it's coming, and I can express my love. But like Federico Fellini, great director, Italian director, he was always saying that good actors, they have to pull out right away, right feeling. They have to be on the spot. They cannot be wondering where is the beauty. Same way for us, approaching keyboard and applying energy. We have to know basically what we want, what kind of sound we would like to have, what kind of sound design we would like to create, and where is the beauty and the phrasing beauty of phrasing is going to. And that term, we have to be professional in that term. I would always say that to my students that we have four actually very main, principles, how we touch keyboard and how we apply, our strength, our fingers over keyboard. First thing I would say, this is energy. This is what I always tell my students because this is my favorite word in my studio. And I always notice that some students, when they play, they drop out energy of the keyboard. And if we're given, the length of the or duration of the note, we have to stay and sustain through the time of being staying over the keyboard. If we're given whole note, then we have to live through this note. Just imagine if I have this length of the duration, then we have to live through with energy through the sound which is given to us. I always use example of pizza because in United States pizza is created lovely meal, and I say that just imagine we have crust of pizza which is shape, but the meaning of pizza is a combination of beautiful topping and nice crust, and one over another, doesn't create beautiful thing. So we would like to have crust, but we cannot have half pizza, with the beautiful topping and then half empty crust. So we have to fill up with the good. So that same applies into our sound. We cannot have like half good energy and then stay in empty time. So the way how we apply energy, it's always has to be here. In my school where I grew up, which is Moscow Gnesin School for Kids and later then Moscow Tchaikovsky Conservatory, we always pay attention to the fullness of the sound, full length of the sound. And this is very, very crucial, for us, and we apply, just imagine, if I take sound and then I have to finish my sound and I drop out with no energy, it's not that great, okay? So we have to stay through the sound, and this is our sound, which is coming from our wrist. Once we're feeling out the time, at some point we have to finish nicely. Also, if we have rest or pause, if we keep going playing, this is fine, but at some point we have to end our sound. And second is, which is I find very, very important, is taking care of release, taking care of rest. We consider rest as a sound. So we take sound we take rest as a sound, applying energy into release. So this is very, very important. We have two ways of releasing sound, applying new energy or just growing into release. But we never would like to drop our energy off the keyboard. I find that 90% of musicians, pianists, would like to create a beautiful tone, of course, but only a third of them taking care how they release sound. And just taking care of two things, like full-time sound, providing full energy for full-time sound, and then taking care of release when you're supposed to release. So that brings you to very good quality. You'll be very well known as a just very well organized player over keyboard, just doing two things. Simple, but also kind of like difficult to watch, of course, And then I say that there is third and fourth thing, which is, I call third is expression, sound connection, and fourth is sound balance. I find that third one is very much, there are many ways, of course, for beautiful expression, but one of the most crucial, I found that after long tone, we see that people drop energy down and they connect neck from the following sound, they connect the phrase with a big accent, dropping out energy. So what I see that, like, for example, if I do voice, then and I want to connect. You see this? If I do one thing, if I drop my energy and then create new energy, this is accent. After dying tone, long tone, we're not going to come with big accent. And here we have whole instrument of piano because we have finger, we have wrist, and we have elbow. And combining these components of our arm into one to create beauty, we have to be very carefully watching for our energy, not to drop energy out to create new accent or create new energy, but to connect with beautiful continuation. So what I say that is very important one thing because we have whole arm and finger. And I imply energy to come less moving phrase. If I do this like that, and I drop my energy down, and then I create. Creates accent. So I find this one of the very important, critical also elements of our expression when we take care how not to disturb our phrase, and connect. In that term, energy is becoming extremely important for us. How we distribute our energy with our arm to create beautiful phrase. We have similar to this in voice, and bel canto. In Italian school, they call this missa di voce. That means like placing on of the voice. That means that singing of a gradual crescendo and decrescendo on a long sustained tone, and then to come out with beautiful phrase. Because we say always, if we don't have accent, then it has to be very smooth. If we have accent, then just go for that. We can test ourselves, how we treat our phrases. And combining finger with wrist, mostly wrist, this is very crucial because this is whole instrument for us, creating sound. And again, I would like to say this is sound connection is extremely, extremely important. And this is one of the main principles of playing piano. I will be touching this subject again just at later time, during this masterclass, how we treat this, of course, how we get this to this point. And fourth thing is for us is sound balance. We're pianists, and like organ players having organ, we're not like any other instruments. Because like if you play violin strings, or you play wind instrument, or you're a singer, with your voice, basically you're either solo instrumentalist, soloist, or you are part of bigger ensemble. So basically, if you play violin, beautiful sonatas of Beethoven or Mozart or any other beautiful music, you will need accompanist. You will need pianist to accompany you. And that creates ensemble. For piano players, we have all elements of music score. So we have melody, we have harmony, and we have bass. So we're like conductors, having great orchestra, symphony at their service. And I always bring this up to my students, asking them what makes good conductor. And great conductors, of course, it's not just to keep time together, ensemble together, but also to create beautiful sound picture. And it has to be very much transparent. So we want to bring, voice, and also not creating exactly the same energy from other groups of the orchestra. So there should be always leading role for voice and something different. If we keep the same, unless it's designed for the sound, for the whole sonority. We would like always to have, voice over harmony. In that term, we're similar to conductor, and we have only 10 fingers, and we would like to bring our voice out of 10 fingers over harmony. And I find this very, very difficult, of course, and of course we have to practice, of course, to the point when our fingers actually equally strong, evenly strong, because I say this is, we are born uneven, and this is Mother Nature's mistake. I make joke about this because thumb should be here, then at least it will be even with the rest 4 fingers. But we have always unbalanced thumb over 4 rest fingers. So we would like to eliminate this unevenness which is given to us, by Mother Nature. So we see thumb is extremely strong and it's equal 4 rest fingers, and pinky is extremely weak. So just plain scales even, we are already coming to uneven, like passages. If I play just any scale and then like this, then I create accents, and I see always accents with thumbs. My professor used to tell us that when we need thumb, it's never there, but when we don't need thumb, it's always there. So we would like, when we learn scales, for example, I play D major, we would like to create the same energy. And I see this always uneven in the wrist. Of course, it's easy to hurt yourself, to create, tension. Don't do this, of course. But at the same time, I always say that there should be some energy presented, to create beautiful playing, because how we lead our energy, this is our phrase. And we say in my school, same length, same height, creates same quality, and also dropping down wrist, that creates unevenness. So I would like to keep, if you keep the same energy through the passages, you create even quality sound. If I play like this, it's not that good, So when I emphasize, of course, when I teach my students, I always require them to start with scales. And playing scales beautifully, like phrases, it's always difficult as well. So I would like them to create, first of all, evenness in the quality, evenness. And then out of this, then we could create new beauty. So first thing is, I say that we are uneven, so we would like to eliminate unevenness. Second, we create even quality. And then from that point, we create new unevenness with our sound design. And this is very, very crucial for us to how we understand how we're creating, new musical phrases. And also, I would like to pay attention to the energy distribution, because I find this extremely also important. Unlike string players, voice, or wind instruments, we have different type of energy applying into keyboard. What I mean, because like if we stay on sustained note, if I take sound, for example A, right, and then I last for whole note, then my sound is going only once I hit the string, it vibrates beautifully, and then it dies out, fades out. So we cannot come with new crescendo. We cannot, on the sustained note, we cannot create crescendo. Unlikely string players, voice, they can create crescendo because they have breath, they have lungs, they have bow, and they have breath again for wind instruments. So staying on one note, we cannot go with crescendo. So this is our disadvantage, of course. They have advantage over us creating crescendo while they stay on the one note. Once we took sound as a piano player, our sound is going only to fade out. At the same time, I always ask my students if we could turn this over, into our advantage over them. And this is my question: what is advantage that what we can do while we stay on the sustained note, but at the same time, what we can do but they cannot do? And the answer is that crescendo, it's coming with changing energy. So they create energy with the changing, crescendo, right? For us, we cannot go into crescendo while we stay, so we stay flat, right? But what we can do, what they cannot do? And the answer is that while we stay on the sustained note, fading out, but we can create crescendo without changing sound, right? And they cannot do this because while they change sound, then they create crescendo or diminuendo. So this is our huge advantage when we can do, preparing for the following sound, or even like creating big crescendo, filling, energy, but then dropping energy, to continue the phrase. And this is huge advantage for us, what we should be using, of course, like in terms of connecting the sound connection. I always say that if we go like this, if I stay flat and then I create crescendo, going down with good sound, beautiful phrase, I drop my energy and I create accent. When I move my arm with finger, this creates accent. If I apply energy and then connect only by finger, right? My energy, I drop energy and connect only by finger, I will never create accent. And then while I move, I can move to new phrase and then same. Yes. Or like this. And then right. Now we approach very important thing also. We say in my school that quality is in our fingers, right? And we just have to apply exactly very clear energy, vertical energy, because the hammer is hitting string. So we would like to come with exactly with the same amount of clear energy. That creates good sound. And then we say that beauty of the sound or expression is coming from the upper part of your arm, not from the finger. We don't do much with the fingers, but we operate our wrist to create beauty for the phrase. And I load from elbow to create what we want to do, the balance. So voicing with beautiful energy distributed properly, that could create beautiful, beautiful sound and phrase. I always tell that before I demand something or will be asking to do my students certain things, I have to explain them why we do this and what for, and that then after I can ask, of course, but I can't ask like, oh, create beauty, but not knowing where it is coming from. And I find this extremely important to explain this to students. And also I say that the way how we approach keyboard, this is our sound, and I call this spirit of touch. We have to be tuned, into the sound, because you cannot say like I love you to someone not having that feeling. So you have to feel first, generate your beauty, and then you come to keyboard with a clear sound, and this is your beauty of playing. So I played for you Liebestraum, A Dream of Love, Nocturne number 3 by Ferenc Liszt. And I would like to show a couple examples how I apply all these things into playing. And when I always say to my students, if you practice properly, if you practice well, if you know what you're doing over keyboard, then you will play beautifully. But just approaching and playing piano, you should have at least a nice task how we do this. I always would practice. If you practice well, then you play well again. I would like to practice first, getting my clear sound out of my fingers, and then trying to find the way what I'm going to do, like how I treat my sound. So we have voice. This is what we want to hear. Just first phrase. And this voice, tenor voice, is going through, melody is going through tenor and always passing between two hands. So out of two hands, there are simple thing to create, beautiful melody line, and which is actually not easy, when you're surrounded by bass and accompaniment. And so I would like to hear a lot. Passing, it's exactly the same. I know it's very difficult, of course, to create beautiful melody line. But I would say first approach would be probably just to create even for all three voices, like this. Arthur Schnabel, when he was a student, he mentioned one thing, like going to class and watching how your professor is teaching, other students. If you don't learn how to play, at least you learn how not to play, right? So I find this very practical advice to find out, because of course, we should not bring all three voices at the same energy. So that's the way what we should not be playing actually. But also like knowing what we should not do, it's also a good try, like this same. That term you bring good quality sound probably for the same level for all three voices. And then later, of course, you would like to see what is your line. If we listen to great performers, we always see that great performers, any recordings, there is always uh, clarity of the sound coming from their fingers. And that makes them extremely wise, to play. And also like we come to concerts to enjoy the sound. And our purpose, our goal as a performers, to give to the audience the beauty of the music. And when you go to concerts, when you play, there in the audience only probably less than 5% can do exactly the same how you play. And but while you perform, nobody going to stand out and say, okay, it's not right, like criticizing your playing, so you have to be like very confident what you do, and also you have to present the beauty of the sound. So usually if audience hear beautiful music but not played well, they never say like, oh, that was beautiful, not played well. They keep quiet usually. But if somebody plays beautifully, then people say, oh, that was beautiful music. And who played? That was the beautiful performer. So we have to create, a very clear sound picture, and we talk to people on energetic level. So creating the beauty, like priests in the churches, in the temples, talking to their audiences. So sometimes we can say good things, but not with good expression, or we can say not that great things, with beautiful expression, right? And we want to match, of course, good meaning with the right direction of your energy, your expression, and that makes huge difference in the artists. So I would like to. This is what I would like to create. Also, at the same time, when I create phrase, like this, and then I add more, and then I make connection, and then I wipe out my energy. If I play like this, and then I come. Some people do this. But I would say this is the dying sound, F flat. And then we want to come less. And then we can create something on the way and then wipe out. Right? And then when I release with greater amount of energy to create less sound to pick up my passage. Because if I play flat energy releasing, then I create new accent. Right? I would like to do this, yeah, and picking up very careful. And then new phrase. And then very active release for pianissimo. As gentle as possible. This is the way how I would practice, and then voice. No pedal. I know it's difficult. But also it's beautiful. At the same time, when it's beautiful music, it's actually easier to play, easier, And I would like to do this, not like this. Probably you could practice like this, right? And there is a climax. And instead of practicing passage like this, I would practice like this, just to see your position over keyboard. I would practice like this, and watch your wrist, please. This is one. I would practice like this. Also, another thing, I would like to talk, the coda, the last thing, we have chord, and I would like to bring out of chord only top voice, which is difficult, right? Look, no pedal, just carefully listen. And now we're coming to the end. And then I don't want to put much of energy in the middle of my passage because I would like to. So phrase for me starts from here. Bring it to voice. Voice. I always treat this phrase, there are two phrases. And first phrase for me is going up, and second is going down. So I don't want to play them with the same way of direction for phrasing. So I would like to move up. First is question, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then response. Move phrase, but turning down. And then voice. And then to the top. And then matching your energy to finish your sound. This is the principles, what I would like to touch, of course, to explain. And this is what I try to deliver to my students, how to practice. I always tell my students that I cannot really teach you how to play piano. I only can teach you how to practice. If you practice well, then you play well. And at the end of my masterclass, I would like to invite you to attend next year Canon Music Camp. I find this camp extremely interesting, and I always have fun with my students. We're not only having fun, of course, but we learn something. And I find this very useful for young musicians because they experience beautiful um, environment of our campus, of course, beautiful atmosphere of the camp, and a great reunion of young musicians. And I hope that you will be attending in the future. Again, this is Bayir Shagdaron, a piano professor at Hayes School of Music of Appalachian State University. And if you have any questions, please contact me. You can find my name and my email and my phone number on the list of the faculty members of Hayes School of Music.